a student or a teenager looks at university admissions, how does a university look at you? What are they really trying to find out? Are they trying to find out your academic excellence, your grit of doing stuff? What are they really trying to know? This is what we'll try to know from our guests today. Just to give you some metrics, we all know that most of the global employers who are top ranked globally no more look at university degrees. They look at skill based hiring. Most of the HR processes across big MNCs have now been given to AI bots who take your interview, who typically evaluate your profile and then finally fix up an interview with an actual human. When all of this is happening, what is the metrics that is being taught to that bot? What is that metric? Is it your academics? Is it your co-curricular activities? Is it your projects? Is it your portfolio? What is being judged and why is it happening so? Just to start off the conversation, in the top Ivy League universities across the globe, 90% of the rejected applications were of the people who had a perfect score. That means they were either at a 4.5 something GPA, or they were 9-pointers, or they were the A plus category students. So when you apply to an Ivy League university or even to a good or a decent university, what is the university looking at that you should be prepared for? Because perfect scores is not the solution, that's for sure.
Start this, the conversation with a powerful, real life inspired story. Maybe just as Daksh mentioned, what the university looks at. Just give one small story. A young student from a small town in India did not have extraordinary marks. I think he told they have 90% of the student and rejected because even though I had a marks, he didn't have extraordinary marks. In fact, his academic scores were just an average. But what made him different was something else. So every evening after school, he would go back to his village and teach underprivileged children who could not afford education. So over time, he did not just teach. I'm just giving a live example. It's not in a story. He created a simple learning methods using charts, stories, and the real life local examples. So slowly, more children started attending his class. His small initiative began a transformation journey. It did not stop there. When he applied to a reputed university in the US, his grades were not highest, average, maybe a 60 to 70%. But his statement of purpose of statement or statement of purpose reflected compassion, because this is a PHS personal history statement is very important. So the statement of purpose reflected compassion, leadership, initiative, and real impact. During the interview, the professor of that university when asked, what makes you different? He didn't mention about the score or about the marks, about the grade. He spoke about the smiles of those children of village. Result, you are selected. So the story reminds us of a powerful truth. That means grades may open the first door, but it is a purpose, character, and impact that really define a student's journey.
Dr. H, the first 3 minutes were over, but we'll try to come back to you. So what you talked about is real. It's actually reality. This is what's happening across most of the universities, because universities now understand that the employers are looking at students in a very different way. They're not just judging you by your academic performance. They don't want to know your memory or your memorization. They want to know, are you able to think? A lot of universities now don't look at well-rounded students or all-rounder students. They are looking at spike profiles. Now, what's a spike profile? A spike profile is something where if you're not good at 10 things, but you're exceptional at one, they're ready to induct you. Because they know that if you're exceptional at one, you had the courage, you had the dedication, and you had the risk appetite to put everything in one direction. And that's the kind of people that universities and employers now look at. Since AI is there, everything that's mundane is happening, by automation. So we need amazing humans who are exceptional at stuff. And now, how do we judge that? Do we judge that with legacy? Do we judge that with your genetics? Do we judge that with your school? Is what we'll try to know from the next
Everyone,
speakers.
uh, that's sir. I'm very much kind of agree with your point. In today's competitive world, top universities are not just searching the perfect scores or flawless report cards. Since I am into the field of education for the last 25 years, and I could find out in September 2009, I remember when the CC has come into existence, and somehow the perception has changed. The percentage which certainly goes to the grade, and the people were judged according to the grade. But over the period of 20 years now, or 15 to 20 years, I could find out the grades are not very much important. Because one or other thing, the students are scoring a good grade, but it is not very much important while seeking admissions in the top universities. The grade may open the door, but they are not what truly define a student's potential. And that looks the universities are look for the curiosity, a student who asks questions, who eager to explore beyond textbooks, who can see learning as a journey rather than kind of a task, the value, the passion, not just a perfection. As you said, you might not great in 10 things, but one thing must be great in you. Yes, absolutely, the universities are looking for that. And they want the students who show their resilience in the face of challenges, who learn from failures, who stand up with a stronger determination, leadership, empathy, and the ability to work, helping the community kind of thing, solving the real life problems, and most importantly, universities are seeking the authenticity. They want an authenticity in the kind of students they are catering off. They are looking for a perfect student, but they are not looking for a perfect student, but a real one student who has the multi kind of skills they have, and someone who knows their strength, they accept their weakness, and they strive to grow every day. And because of the end of, and I would say, education is not about the kind of producing high scores, but about the shaping thinkers, innovators, responsible human beings. And we need to remember that the grades may reflect what you know, but your character, passion, and purpose reflects what you truly are. And that is what the world and the best universities are really looking for. Thank you.
That we now need people who are different. Just academic scores won't help it. But there's a very big challenge that comes when we say all of this. For a university and for an employer, where is the measuring metrics? How do we know whether a student has actually achieved something or not? What exactly is happening in their life? Because most of the projects, or when you want to really delve into the personality, you'll have to devote a lot of time. And even universities are automating recruitments or admissions. Even they don't have the time to manage those funnels. So, how are we looking at the finer human skills? How are we really testing them? That's the question. And the reason why I'm putting it up front at this moment is a lot of Ivy plus or Ivy colleges right now look for legacy applicants. Now, this is where it sounds a little bad. Are we really bringing in nepotism when we want to give opportunity? Why do we want legacy applicants? Why do we want students whose father, whose mother, whose grandfather has been through that IV process? And this is not something that's, a part of the news. This is something that most Ivy League universities declare out loud that yes, we might be looking at this as well. So that's where the question gets difficult. That are we, the purpose of education is to take opportunity to the last human. But are we really taking away that opportunity is what we'll try to know from
Ladies
our
and
next speaker.
gentlemen, let's not talk about what truly makes a student stand out at the world's top university. I'm Simran Bishnoi, an MP at SS12 in Parliament, and today I want to share the thought grades are the foundation, but they are not the finish line. What admission committees seek is a spark. A spike, not just a well rounded resume. They want depth, the debate champion who reshaped argument, the startup founder who solved real problems, the athlete who pushed boundaries. Depth beats scattered breadth every single time. Universities crave intellectual curiosity. They want minds that wander beyond textbooks. Students who devour advanced readings, take online courses, launch research blogs, or build projects simply because they love learning. Curiosity is the fuel that thrives in a challenging environment. Leadership and initiative matters. Not just showing up, but showing impact. Starting a club, leading a team, or creating change in the community. I created change always outweigh I attended events. Then comes the personal story. Essays are not about perfection. They are about authenticity. They reveal struggles, growth, and purpose. A powerful story can outweigh slightly lower marks because it shows who you are beyond numbers. Impact and social awareness are equally vital. Universities admire students who care about the world, those who volunteer, lead initiatives, or raise awareness. Even small but genuine contributions matter. Consistency and commitment shows discipline. Admissions officers look for dedication over years, not random jumps. Long-term pursuit proves passion and then the X factor, whether it's music, coding, content creation, or a unique perspective. They ask, why should we remember you? Fit for university is crucial. MIT values research, Harvard values leadership. Each campus has its own vibe. The question is, will you contribute to our community? Finally, resilience and growth. They admire students who face challenges, improved over times, and refuse to give up. Growth mindset beats perfection. Here's the reality check. Even perfect students get rejected, seats are limited, diversity matters, and institutional priorities shift. So the secret is not chasing perfection. It's being authentic, impactful, and unforgettable. In the end, top universities don't just admit grades. They admit stories, sparks, and soul ready to shape the future. Thank you.
A lot of universities put a simple logic when they look at personalities and look beyond marks. And that simple logic is that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's the real challenge. When you really want to judge a human being, do you really want to rely on, those scores that the world knows are now inflated? Most of the high school scores across countries, across demographics, have been inflated for the concern of mental well-being, for the concern of reducing the pressure, for whatever concern. And it is becoming very difficult to figure out who is that resilient human that we want in our university or that we want in our company or organization. That's where the challenge, or that's where this conversation really finds its
Right,
genesis.
whenever we talk to the parents, I'm telling out of my experience, we talk about admissions or talking about their, favorite colleges of the students. The first thing that comes to the parents' mind is their scores, their grades, but rightly said by Narinder sir that grades may open the door, but then they don't decide how far, they walk with these titles because universities today are not really interested in, knowing what you know. They're really interested in knowing the knowledge you have, how do you use that knowledge in uncertain AI driven world. So what the top universities are actually hunting for is intellectual vitality. Like they want to know, when you come across a problem, do you wait for a hero to solve that, or do you yourself become one? They're not looking for perfection, they're looking for persistence, consistency. They value students who show up, who try, who fail, who still continue, because success in life is not about not failing. It is about rising every time you fall. They're also looking for curious minds, not students who just answer your questions, but the ones who can, ask better ones. Because a curious mind does not stop at syllabus. They explore, they connect, they question, because innovation, we all know, does not come from memorizing the facts. It comes from, asking questions, stepping out of your comfort zone. And a very important point the universities are considering is is the impact you are creating. Have you ever done something, ever been the purpose, been somebody who's helped somebody learn something, or have you ever been part of the problem solving team? The problem can be as small as solving your sanitation problem in your society, or have you done started something meaningful in your life? It can be as small as doing some campaigning, banning polythene campaign, or if you look at today's time, podcast is in thing. Have you started any podcast, interviewing people around, the local entrepreneurs, finding out what works, what doesn't work, what are the challenges they face? So if we look at the examples we have in front of us, we all are aware of Abby Skimmin, who did not only study coding, but also he built one of the world's largest COVID-19 tracking website, and he was named Webby Person of the Year and was accepted in Harvard University. Then we have Pooja Chandrasekhar. She, developed a mobile app and that predicted Parkinson disease with 96% of accuracy. And that is again, she also got, inducted in Harvard University. She did her MD and MBA both from Harvard University. There are many examples. If you look at, look around in India, outside India, you'll find many such examples. Now, these students did not do any magic. They had initiative. Now, our value today is not in what we know, is what it is in what we build. And admission officers all around, as said by other speakers also, are looking for stories of setbacks, stories of resilience. A student who fails in any project, in any self-start, if he can confidently talk about what is learned from his failure, why he
Alone
failed.
understand by the conversation till now is that the one who was considered the outcast is now the mainstream. We are no more looking at toppers. We are looking at challengers. We're looking at people who can really hustle. Because one thing that, Homo sapien history has now proven with the advent of AI and AGI coming in, we have a more intelligent being amongst us who's intelligent than us. So at this point, we really need to identify the core human skills and figure out who are the people who have them. We were looking for mathematicians, we were looking for engineers, but now we want humans because most of the stuff that these people did now happens with automation.
You spoke about, how do we measure? How do we get to understand who's got all these sets of skills? Well, that is where, those letters of recommendation come in handy. Like ma'am said, that, there are so many examples, those people who've done significantly very well in their those fields. However, what happens when it comes to letters of recommendation is that you're not just going to recommend anyone, Tom, Dick, and Harry. You've got to have those evidences where you figure out that how one particular child, one particular student, aced a certain skill. So you have that evidence, and here we have to understand we are only going to have those documented success stories. Here, every success story also comes along with, like you said, the spike story. So you had instances where a project was started, initiated, and then it didn't really take off very well. It took certain time. Now, herein comes the major role of your letters of recommendation. That's one. They're also looking at, I had the opportunity to interact with people at MIT, people at NASA. For them, the importance to grades is not so big a deal. For them, the most significant thing is that how passionate you are about one thing. And while you're doing that, how collaborative a spirit do you display? Is it all about I, me, myself? That's one, which is not really appreciated. And this is something that a good number of Indians have to learn. In the sense, look at any kind of debate. They love to talk about themselves and they do not like to give the credit to others. So, at the same point in time, they also do not understand the basic moral value of being authentic. You cannot just, in this time and age of chatbot, you pick up stuff from this side, you pick up stuff from that side. Being foolish enough not to realize that they have an AI to check plagiarism as well. Right. So the moment you put in your application, believing, oh, I'm going to ace it, I'm going to really get selected. Well, you have you borrowed so much that your application is going to be actually written off because there's so much of plagiarism. That's one. Second is, as I said, that you have to have the collaborative spirit. And most importantly, you need to display that passion where you are consistent. They're not looking for success stories alone. They are looking at how many times, despite having failed, you're willing to acknowledge, yes, I'm as human as anybody else, but yes, I'm also human enough to understand where I failed and where I can improvise. This is the spirit that they value. That's one. And as you said, that legacy thing, yes, definitely that legacy thing is happening. How do you break in that entire source? You break in with the letters of recommendation, that's one. Two, get to write papers. Three, get to have your own process
Letters of
document.
recommendation would play an important, crucial role. But when you actually go to a university, for when you put yourself in their shoes, when everyone has amazing marks, that becomes a challenge. When everyone has a letter of recommendation, that becomes a challenge. So the challenge really is, how does that demand and supply really go? The legacy problem can, as far as I can understand, is going to increase with time, because now we no more have a fair metric to judge the student or the applicant. When the fairness of your metrics goes down, then these legacy challenges and all these challenges creep in, not because people want them to, but because they don't have an option. So, how is a university looking at it is very important. And more important than that, how will a student prove its genuinity? How will they prove that I am authentic, I am amazing, I have done stuff? How are you creating your portfolios? That's going to be a major
Morning,
differentiator.
everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today in this web talk. And everyone wants to go into a top university and they work hard for grades, scores, percentages, and rankings. But does that really matter? And if it does, what other factors would matter in a university? And that comes to the question that what top universities look for beyond just grades. Universities like in the US consider legacy as well, and legacy admissions can strengthen alumni loyalty because families with a long connection to the university are more likely to donate money, stay engaged, and support the school over time. And this also builds a sense of tradition and continuity. But top universities in the US, Australia, India also consider how you make decisions. So it's not just about what you achieved. It's about why you chose to do those things. Did you pick activities because they genuinely mattered to you or because you thought they would look impressive? Admission teams can often tell the difference. They also pay attention to patterns in your choices. For example, do your subjects, projects or interests connect in a meaningful way, or like do they show a clear direction? Even if it's not perfect, can be more powerful than just random achievements. Another overlooked factor is follow through. A lot of students start things but fewer actually finish them or take them to the next level. Universities notice when someone sticks out with an idea and develops it further. A well-known example is Malala Yousafzai. Her commitment to education advocacy wasn't something she picked just for an application. She also lived and fought for it. And this level of authenticity and dedication stands out globally. Finally, universities think about what class they are building. It's not just about individual excellence. They are asking how each person will fit into a bigger group, their values, and yep. So instead of just asking, how do I look impressive? A better question is, do my choices actually reflect who I am and how I think? Because that's often what universities look for. Thank you.
Your performance is less important than your purpose. As a human, have you identified your purpose? If you have identified your purpose, does your track record show that you're working towards a purpose? What are you trying to achieve in life? What's your vision for yourself, and how your decision making is looking around that vision? So, the purpose of bringing this topic to the Blub Web Talks was just this: how a teenager looks at the problem statement, how does a school leader look at it, and how do university leaders look at it? Because we all have to understand this journey is basically a set of decisions that are either happening for you or that you are doing for yourself. So how good is your skill of judging your situation? How good is your skill of deciding things? How amazing are you at critical thinking? And who's the one who's polishing all these skills for you? When you look at your own performance through the result that you might get at school, when you look at your own performance with a project that you might be involved in, when you look at your personality, how do people perceive you? Do a little more of self-talk. Try to judge yourself better. Try to understand what your personality really is made out of. What are the blocks that finally add together? Don't do stuff to impress the world. Do stuff that gives you satisfaction. Because we all have to understand now, anything mundane which humans used to do to make money or make their ends meet will be automated, is already automated, or is now, right now in the process of getting automated. So if you are not purpose driven, you will not be able to deal with at least 5 or 6 careers that the next generation will have in their lifetime. That's what the World Economic Forum says. You will not get into a profession and retire from it. You'll at least have 5 to 6 careers in your lifetime. That's where purpose becomes very critical. So I hope we are all able to find that purpose of our life very soon. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the Blub Web Talks. This was the 283rd episode.